Hi everybody, this is Professor Jason Snart. I'm the instructor for English 1130. That's the Introduction to Lit course. I'm just recording this as a very informal, kind of off-the-cuff, a bit of an orientation to how our course is set up. Hopefully to get you sort of feeling comfortable and situated in the course so you can get to the course content and not have to worry too much about where things are, how things are set up, and how the course operates. So you might notice things look a little bit different as far as the text or what's posted here, because when I'm recording it and when you're looking at the recording, things might be a little bit different, but I think you'll get the idea of how the course is set up. So you'll always land at the announcements page here, probably seeing a video announcement a little bit like this, usually a screenshot capturing our course so I can point to things that we're doing, reminding you of due dates, looking at content, whatever the case might be. Or in some cases, I'll do just me talking at the camera, which is a little bit less useful as far as guiding you through what we're doing, but I think is still useful sometimes just for you to, have a sense of like who I am or what I look like a little bit. I think it helps to have that kind of human presence in the online course so you feel a little bit more connected to what's going on. All right, so fundamentally our course uses these two main tabs here on our course menu. The units, which is where all the work is, and the due dates. So it's not self-paced, you're not working just on your own, at your own speed. There are a series of due dates that we work through, so I'm going to go into that list first. Okay, so again, depending on where you're, or when you're looking at this, the due dates might be a little bit different or totally different if it's a different semester, but they'll all be laid out. And the thing to really take note of is that discussion boards, which feature in just about all of our units, not all of them, but most of them, have a double due date system. So initial posts would do by noon on the date listed, whatever it happens to be, and then replies, there's always going to be a reply component to a discussion board assignment, would be due by the end of the day. I encourage people to get in earlier than that absolute latest due date, so that we're not always doing things at the last minute. But the staggered due date does help to make sure we have some posts in there early, and then you have time to reply, so we're not always pushing everything right up against the final due date, whatever that happens to be. So you'll see that each of the units we work through has its own distinct due date. For the most part, everything in that unit is due by that due date, so it's pretty compartmentalized that way. If we look at the units themselves, you'll have a sense of where we start with kind of some introductions. We move through, look at short fiction or short stories. We'll then move into a poetry section and then a drama section, and then we conclude our course. So most units are set up, more or less the same. I'll just go into one kind of as a sample here. There will be a really brief note about our objectives for that unit, just so you have a sense of kind of where we're at here. If there's a reading assignment, you'll find it here with links to our digital textbook, which I'll show you in just a second. And then there'll be some form of assignment. It might use a tool like Padlet here that's explained within the unit. It might be a discussion board, as you can see at the bottom here. Again, each of the units will have each of these little assignments with explanations about what to do, expectations, and a link to how to complete it. So again, the units tab, all of our work, and the due dates, when that work is due, is really like the core of how you're going to move through our class. Obviously, you'll want to check your grades as we go. This link doesn't work for me because I'm not in the course as a student. But as we work through, you'll see all the grades populated here, so that's how to keep track of how you're doing. You can check your COD email and send email. Again, it uses the default COD or dupage.edu, your student email. So it's really important that you're checking that on a really regular basis. And you can also go in and have that email forwarded to one that you maybe check a little bit more often. In either case, anything that I send out from our course in Blackboard here will go to that student address, and so it's really important that you're checking it or have set it up to go to an email that you do check. I can't manipulate, like have personal emails in there or anything like that. It's just not it's not something I have access to do in the system. It's set up the way it's set up. My info's here if you want to get in touch with me. There's also some library and Blackboard help if you run into some technical or maybe some research questions that you've got. We have, or I have a virtual office set up. So if you're not on campus at all or on a regular basis, you can send me an email and we can agree to a time to meet, and then we can connect virtually. So it's like a video conferencing system. It looks a little bit like Google Hangouts if you've ever used that tool before. Pretty easy to use. I've never had any technical problems with it, and it's a great way to be in touch. If you had a question about an assignment or the course as a whole, or maybe you're having technical troubles, you know, it's a great way for me, again, to see like what's actually happening on your screen so I can help you with overcoming whatever that technical difficulty might be. Okay, so a couple of other things we want to look at here just as part of our orientation. Here in our syllabus textbook area, you'll find information about Remind, which is a text messaging system that we use. You can opt into it. You don't have to pay for it, obviously. There is an app, but you don't have to download that. You can just use it directly through your native messaging system. You never have to give me your phone number, or I don't have to give you mine, so it just works as a really nice text messaging system here. I'll often send out general course reminders about things. Especially since texting or instant messaging seems to be a much more like immediate form of communication, and it goes right to your phone, which most people will check on a regular basis, unlike email. It's important that you're staying plugged into email because anything that I generate, excuse me, again, through the Blackboard system goes there, but I invite people to opt into our Remind text messaging system since it's, again, a much more immediate and I think accessible way to stay in touch. Our textbook is the one that's listed here, and it is an e-textbook, so there's no physical copy that you have to buy. Once you make the purchase through either the publisher or our bookstore, you'll get like a little registration code that you can then use when you follow this link here that I'm pointing to right below the book image. It'll prompt you to enter the code, and then you sort of purchased access to the digital edition. You can also find pretty common stuff here: plagiarism policy, withdraw, a little bit on netiquette, right, behaving nicely on the net, course description and goals, kind of the usual syllabus type things that you might find. Okay, so that provides a very quick but hopefully useful orientation to our course as far as where to find certain things, especially getting started with like the syllabus and textbook information, where to find your grades so you can keep track of your progress as we move through the course, and then obviously how our course unfolds, which is fundamentally through the units link where you'll find all the work that we're doing, and then of course the due dates. Again, you want to always be completing the work on time, obviously, but the units list here or the due dates link provides you a nice sense of kind of like the bigger picture of where we've been and where we're going. So as I'll repeat a number of times, I'm sure, in these video announcements, if you have any questions or concerns or are running into technical trouble or just anything is getting in the way of you being successful in the course, by all means be in touch with me sooner rather than later. And I will, in addition to this video, post my email, which is really the best way to get in touch with me. All right, I hope you enjoy English 1130 Introduction to Literature. And again, any problems or concerns, just be in touch with me.